All right. So could I just get your name, pronouns if comfortable, and a little bit about what you do in the Richmond music scene?
Lunch special, he, him. I'm a Richmondite, born and raised, been here my whole life, and I've been making music for about a decade in the city. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So a little bit about your life before Richmond. Well, you said you've just been living here your entire life. Why did you choose to stay here for the music career?
You know, so one of the things I think, and that's a great question. You know, I have such a good base here. It feels like my headquarters. It feels like a place where I can continue to build and kind of like send satellites out. You know, I went to VCU around, it's like 2017, 2018. And through there, like just like getting into the art scene, getting into like the DIY house scene, acting a little bit. A lot of that made me want to continue to grow my roots. It's funny you asked that though, because I do think I am kind of looking at the event horizon of what the next thing looks like. So I think I'm looking at some point heading to like a Jersey or New York or something. But for right now, you know, Richmond's just been so good to me. It's a place where like a egg can grow into a phoenix. It can be so important to build that base out. So I think that's why I've stayed so long.
Great. Can you tell me a little bit more about your experience at VCU and how that kind of like built upon? You said that you acted a little bit. I know that I reached out to you through a mutual friend. But could you just tell me a little bit more about your decision to go to VCU and how that kind of sprouted your music career?
So, you know, once again, being a Richmond native, since I was like a child, like always like seeing college students like cross the street, like you remember it because like every August, everything changes. Like there's more hustle and bustle in what is normally like this, what could be perceived as like a tiny town, like kind of explodes. And always wanting to be a part of that and always wanting to have a voice and be able to say something within that space was something that was super important to me. So when that opportunity arose, like I was at a junior college for 2 years and then I you know, went over to VCU. Just getting involved. The first acting class I took was actually as a result of me needing to get credits. And from that, just like learning about all the ways that people express themselves here, I learned so much. The first house show I had ever been to, I was just literally walking around VCU campus and like I wandered in and it was somebody just playing MP3s off of like a shitty little like laptop, and to see that like grow and to see those people grow and to like everybody was engaged and like that's like what real hip hop is. That's what real music is. It was super duper formative, and you want to continue to be a part of that and continue to foster it. So.
Yeah, of course. So I've been going through your Spotify. Very amazing music. I am so obsessed with just everything.
Thank you.
And you label yourself as an upcoming artist in the D&B hip-hop scene. Can you tell me a little bit about your earliest experiences with hip-hop, like especially that genre of music, and why you decided eventually to continue to pursue it?
100%. So when I was a kid, one of my first gifts that my mom gave me, this has to be like before I hit 11 or 12, it was Love Below. So it's like the double disc of Andre 3000 and Big Boy's albums from Outkast, but like they each had a solo album, so to speak. And that is like, cause like a lot of my music listening like has advanced like exponentially as I've gotten older. So even as a kid, it wasn't like I was like a music kid as soon as I was born, but that album was so cool. It to me, it sounded like, cause I love anime. Like that's like one of my biggest things. To me, it sounded like the soundtrack of an anime. It was so like vivid and everything. It felt like Sailor Moon, but he's like a dude and like everything he's talking about is so vivid. You know, that to me, and I think that's like translated to the music I make. I try to be as vivid as possible, very descriptive. And Andre 3000 did a really good job with that. So that was always super important. But whenever mom was cleaning the house, it was maybe Jamiroquai. It might have been like Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill. So I have roots in neo soul as well. But it all kind of goes through my mom in terms of like what those first experiences were.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. And a little bit into your music making process. What goes into that? Like, who's involved? What goes into creating hip hop, especially?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So for me, for my music making process, a big part of it is obviously like listening to a collection of beats. So I have producers that I'll reach out to that I'm really cool with, and then I have like the members of my band. So I have Tyson, Tough Luck. He's been on tour with Chandler recently, and like we have songs together. And what we'll usually do is like I'll go to his house, we'll listen to like a fuck ton of beats, and then we'll like figure out like, okay, what can I work with? What is instantly making me like want to write to something? And that is across the board. Like whoever I work with, the beat always has to like immediately make me want to do something. And then from that point, once I have a rough skeleton of the lyrics down, I'll take that and I'll look at what I've written, and then I'll figure out how I can advance it. What kind of metaphors can I use? What can I do to make this once again more vivid? I think the way I can paint a painting, I want to use the most like garish, like Louis the 13 peacocky colors in what I'm saying, so it's super salient. I love music that a lot of things are up for interpretation. But if we can get as direct to the point as possible while still keeping something like cinematic and dramatic and intense, that's what I want to do.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. What do you think has been the most challenging part of your work? And in turn, what has been the most rewarding part of your work?
I think the answer is actually like both. Or the answer is the same for both. For me, I think getting my music recognized like has been the most challenging thing, but also the most rewarding. Like, once again, I've been making music for a decade at this point, and only now does it feel like there's like, oh, people recognize it when you go out. Oh, the streaming is reflecting it. You're making like a little bit of bread off of what you're doing. Like those are things that the me 5 years ago might not have even, like I've grappled with like never doing music again several times as I make music, and I'm sure that might come again, but that validation that you feel when people really connect, when you get that DM with somebody saying like, I just want you to know this song like meant a lot to me when I'm like going through this really dark period in my life. I never thought I'd have that type of like power over somebody, and to be able to know that I can affect somebody in that way it means the world.
How do you grapple with, I don't want to say like artist block because it's a lot more like mental than that, but how do you grapple with wanting to quit music? How do you continue forward?
I think you have to do like a mini quit. You have to like have like a mini divorce with it almost, and you have to stop. For me, when I do fall out of love with something and I can take that break, that like absence makes the heart grow fonder. So for me, being able to separate myself for a little bit and kind of indulge myself in maybe other art forms, or if it is a thing of me like listening to like my favorite artists, like remember why I want to do what I do. That's a huge help too. I think a lot of artists put so much pressure on themselves, and I think pressure is like what kills like a lot of us. At the end of the day, there's not a time limit for any of this. I could be 40 and finally get the big break, but I think when you absolve yourself from that, you kind of can look at everything from a new perspective, and your art is better for it, your mindset is better for it, and people recognize that, I think.
Thank you. So what are you learning about Richmond and its music as you continue your career?
What am I learning about it? That's a good question. I would say it's kind of like a confederacy in the way that everything is very segmented and not even self-sufficient, right? Because a confederacy would, at least in due part, would not be able to self-sustain without the help of outside influences. So for me, I think there's just like all these little pockets that don't really know how to nurture each other. Like you can just look across the hall and you'll see like a bunch of different artists that are successful at what they're doing, but they don't contribute or help or support the other end of the hall. And that's like across the board. It's in like in within each genre you'll have like different sectors of like artists that do mess with each other, but for whatever reason there's no crossover, whether that's like making music together, being on the same bills. Even there are even venues that only book certain artists. And that's something I've tried to advocate and try to push back against for a while, but I think at the end of the day, I think there's something about Richmond that's a place where everybody feels comfortable.
Yeah, so you go a little bit into like collaboration, and I can tell that you think it's very important. And you recently collaborated with Ben Yen, correct? Yes. So what do you think goes into collaborations with other artists? What do you think people get out of that? Especially the artists that collaborate with each other. What do you think they get out of that?
So the dope thing about that collaboration, it kind of came from, so I'm in like the wake of putting out Carmex. And I'm like, I have all these suitors and everything, and even to what we're talking about now about just like Richmond artists, like once again, I'm always going to be working with Richmond artists, but it's important for me at this particular stage to spread the wings and like to go in a billion different directions. So Ben Yen is cool with Billy, who is cool with Chandler. So we're all cool, right? It's we all in the clear. But like, us having similar music, us aligning sonically, it was like, okay, I want to jump at the opportunity to work with this person. We just started talking in the DMs, and he had this record, and I heard it, and I was in love with it instantly. So like being able to say, yeah, let's just do this, and honestly, the song came together in like a month. He wants me to go to San Diego, where he's based out of, to do a visual, so that might happen. But like that was like, once again, the me from 5 years ago can't imagine even working from an artist on the other side of the country. So like that was an opportunity I had to jump at.
Yeah. So walk me through how you typically create a song, because I know earlier you were talking about the beat and forming your lyrics kind of like, if I'm correct, like around the beat, trying to find like the lyrics that you want for that song. So starting at like the concept for the song, how do you make a finished product from that? How do you go about that?
I try to think, so a lot of times when I make music, I almost think about the music video first. Now, whether or not that will be what the music video is like a separate thing, because I feel like a lot of music in the last 5 years has changed, right? So like the value of a music video is different from how it was. Now it has to be like, can we convert this into vertical content, so on and so forth. But for me, the music video almost comes first. It's like the way in which I might form, how I want to write. So it was, let me think. Like I think of them, once again, like music videos, but also like a movie. So something has to feel cinematic. I have to be able to tell a story or initiate some type of energy. So is it like, is this song gonna feel like Frances Ha when she's in her like apartment and it's black and white and she's dancing and she's trying to figure out her life? Is this song gonna feel like the end of Blue is the Warmest Color, when both characters are like talking at a table and they're crying and they're trying to reconcile? Like, and I want to be able to, once again, going back to that painting, I want to be able to paint that picture as vividly as possible.
So I haven't gotten this far into it, but have you created music videos for your work?
Yes.
You have? So
yeah,
what goes
I've
into
done
that?
the treatment for every music video I've done. I might collab with who's ever shooting it to figure out what shots we want. But every music video I've done, I always have the concept in mind, because I love movies. I love things that are cinematic and dramatic and things that can make people feel shit. So,
yeah. So a little bit earlier you mentioned advocating for more like collaboration within the Richmond scene. What steps are you taking to make Richmond something that you want to see in like 5 years?
I try to always like keep so there are several artists in my phone. And even this is something I need to do better about, but there's at least 8 to 10 artists right now on my phone that know if they need anything that I'm a resource that they can use. So that's, hey, what do I do for this press-wise? What do I do in terms of reaching out to people? What do I do for merch? And like always trying to be like a bastion of knowledge. Now, I am working on being a better like responder because I'm horrible. I wish everybody would call me because I would answer every time, but I'm a horrible text backer. But, you know, I want artists to know that if they need something, they can reach out to me. And even if it might take time for me to respond, I will have that knowledge and I'll give you whatever it is that I have access to. And I think it's about making sure that everybody has access to what they need to at least get to the point where they can do something about what they want to do.
All right, wonderful. That's very wonderful. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, let me see what I have here. What's the biggest misconception about the music industry that you've encountered?
I think the biggest misconception about the music industry that I've encountered is that it's the type of this is going to sound depressing, but I don't want it to sound depressing. But I think that it's like a get rich quick scheme. I think a lot of artists want to go I get signed, I get $1 million, $10 million advance, and then I'm good to go. And besides the fact that like an advance is a loan of which that you have to recoup, and that lump sum has to go into your marketing, the actual creation of the music, licensing, everything, artwork, all that. There's also the fact that like that's it. Like once you get an advance, like unless you recoup, that's it. Versus, I think the slow and steady approach, which once again, like a lot of I think what I see successful and what. So for me, we were talking about the misconception. So with Chandler, you know, he's been a great kind of person that I could study from because he understands the slow and steady approach. And what does slow and steady mean? Because I think that has a negative connotation. Slow and steady means that you have a base that will continue to support you and be a foundation from which you can continue to grow from. But there is something self-established and self-sufficient. So you do not need to you just have such a base of support that you can almost account for what you would be bringing in as an artist. And that's something that he's established. That's the model that I'm trying to take, and being able to really account for what is the next step, what am I going to be experiencing, how much should I be expecting to get in. And I think that is something that artists need to figure out. You need to figure out how to make this a business. Like, Chandler and I have gone back and forth because, you know, he feels like you should only get beats from like people around you. And that is a number one thing about, you know, being as successful as he is like being able to have like this team of producers. And that's something I'm trying to make sure like I can do as well. Because it can be just so fruitful when you just have everything in the house, just keeping it all and kind of making it like almost like a family to a certain extent.
My main question actually is, where did you get your name from? What is the meaning behind Lunch Special?
So Lunch Special came, so before like this era of me, like I guess like the last couple songs or whatever. But before I went solo, I was a part of a rap group. This is a long time ago. And I was with one of the members. Actually, Tune GG is a pretty popular artist in Richmond. And we went to a Chinese food restaurant. And I like mixing shrimp fried rice with white rice whenever I get shrimp fried rice. And the waiter and I went back and forth about, they were telling me that fried rice is white rice. And I was like, I know you can't make fried rice with that white rice, but I just like mixing both. Like, okay, all right, I guess. And I ended up not being able to finish this, and we went during lunch.
Yeah.
So when the waiter discovered that I could not finish my food and I asked for a box, they're like, "Oh, too much rice." I was like, "Well, I didn't think I'd be," you know what I mean? And then Tune had said, "Oh, the lunch special is crazy." I was like, "Wait a second.
That's good.
The lunch special is crazy. That's pretty good." So from that point on, I had to be known as Lunch Special.
Of course.
Yes, of course.
Can you tell me a little bit about the rap group that you just mentioned that you were a part of a while ago?
Yes. So I was in a rap group called Aquan's Vision. It was me and people I went to school with, and like some people from some schools up in Henrico. Let me know if you want to take a break if it's too loud.
No, okay. Thank you.
Okay. So Aquan's Vision was a rap group of people that I went to school with, some people from like some neighboring schools. It was like 7 of us, and I was still in high school at the time, and we just did like this funny look. There is potentially no media around. I don't even know. Like there's one really bad interview we do on this guy's couch. Let me see if I can find it. And I end up breaking the couch with one of the members. I never paid that guy back. And it sucks because that guy ended up, his name, fuck it. His name is Hobie Benjamin. Yep. Damn, that was 8 years ago. That's crazy. But.
Oh, wow.
And Tune GG's right there. I don't think any of these other people make music still. But no, I was in a little rap group. Wow. Yeah, just a bunch of little miscreants. I'll send that to you.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Yeah, thank you. So, what does the future of hip hop look like to you? How is your music unique from other hip hop artists?
So I'm gonna answer the first question from the perspective of, and it's a little whack, but I think in terms of what artists should be looking for, I think this is important. So I'm gonna answer it like a business question. I think the future of hip hop, especially to survive, it needs to become direct to consumer. So I think what artists are gonna have to do is like move away from the DSPs as much as they can. Making sure that their fans know where they are outside of a social media or a Spotify or YouTube or anything, because as music continues to be devalued by these streaming platforms, if we are going to survive, we need to be able to pull people to, our websites, newsletters. You have to make sure people are like primed to, get included in value physical media and value like your merch and everything. I think if we do not figure out a way, and I think we are, I don't think there is an if not, because artists will always figure out a way. But with AI, once again, with us making $1 of a quarter of a quarter of a quarter of a penny on $1, it's just not going to be sustainable if we don't build our own families, our own castles, our own bastions. In terms of me, from an artistic perspective, you know, I think the cool thing about me is like I might honestly not be the most original artist. I think I'm a conglomerate of not a conglomerate, a collage of all of the music I love. Like I there's King Cruel in me, there's Childish Gambino, there's Tyler, there's Zach Valeri, there's Malcolm Todd, like, and like I feel like I'm all of that wrapped up, and like I am making music like I want to listen to. So there's like, I think one of the biggest knocks on my music is that it isn't the most original, but it's fucking dope, and like I love what I'm making. So like that's always like, and maybe that's what makes it unique, is the fact that I'm just making whatever I want to make.
Oh, yes, thank you. And you were talking about streaming services and how they kind of devalue music a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit more about your thoughts on streaming services and what they do for your music?
You know, there was a time where, you know, you could only listen to music if you went somewhere. For me, there used to be a time where you could go to a place like a Plan 9, and the only way you could listen to music is if you bought a CD on like the Tuesday that music released, and then you kept listening to that. You looked at the back of the artwork cover, you saw who was credited, you looked at track lists, you pre-ordered shit. Now that is like a collector's item. There is so much more music to listen to, and it is all at your fingertips, and your tastes are also being curated by algorithms where you don't know what the math behind them is. You don't know whatever equation is being used to put that person in front of you that you're listening to. We're all trying to game the system. We're all trying to get on release radar. We're trying to get on playlists. But ultimately, you know, the more that we feed into this, and I'm guilty of it too, so it's not to say that I'm not contributing to it, but as music is more accessible, it is becoming less valuable, because there is, it just is. There's more, people are listening to more music for less long. And as that continues to happen, you know, music will continue to lose its value. So artists will have to endow themselves with some sort of value and become intrinsically valuable.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier about going to San Diego to continue pursuing some of your goals. What do those goals look like to you? What goals are you still pursuing in your music career?
You know, I want to get to the point where you know, every song is a hit. Like, I want to be able to go wherever I think I will hit my goals when music gives me a certain level of freedom that I'm not allotted. I want the art to be self-sufficient. I want the art to be able to consistently feed itself. I want to be able to make bold statements and grab the world's ears and grab the imagination of people. And I think I'm doing that in like small microcosms. I'm doing it here and there. But when I know I can do it consistently, I'll know I'm where I want to be. I want to be able to go to San Diego at the drop of a dime to do a Patootie music video and just see everybody's reaction and continue to build off of that. And I think that's like what I want.
So if your main genre right now is hip-hop, correct?
Yeah.
How would you go about kind of incorporating different genres into that? Do you get any like creative inspiration from like, say like country or pop music? Like, do you ever want to incorporate that into your music?
Not really. I wouldn't say country, but I honestly listen to mostly pop. Like, once again, like if I listen to hella Malcolm Todd or King Cruel or something. And once again, if you want to move somewhere, if it gets a little loud, let me know. You know, for me, the beats would sound like the music that I listen to that might not necessarily be hip hop. I might get composers or producers from those genres to incorporate. I'll try to pay attention to the things that they're doing and bring it into what I'm doing.
Okay, perfect. So how do you kind of like more about the technical and producing aspect of it? And I know earlier you mentioned like the press and everything. How do you go about like, What was your learning experience there? Did you have like prior knowledge that you learned at like VCU or something about like how to navigate the production aspect of it?
No, not really. A lot of it is just like hitting your head on it until like it sounds good, until it works. Like I've been very lucky to like have two really good engineers in my life. So like Joe Ritzik, who ran Track Meet Studios in Southside Richmond. He no longer is in Richmond. He's in Florida, but I was very spoiled with that. So like, actually, that's super funny. My other engineer this is my other engineer right now, and his name's Kyle Williams. He's at Good People's and Spaceball. I'm doing an interview right now. Say something.
Hey guys, this is Kyle Williams. I'm the best engineer on the planet.
Wow.
I don't really need to say that. I feel like my work and everything, like how cute I am, speaks for itself.
Okay. Yes. Do you have any questions for the process now that he's on? And this will be the only question that we ask him, and then we're gonna hang up on him.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, the pressure. Ooh. What is it like being an engineer? What is it like? Because I honestly have no idea what they do.
Well, it depends, because I'm working with someone like Lunch Special. He's my friend, and I like working with him, so he'll hit me up and be like, hey, are you free this week? I need to get this thing done. We go to the studio. I set everything up. I record what he's singing or rapping. Basically, that's my job. Make it sound good. Make it sound like you want to listen to it.
And that's the tea.
Essentially.
That's the tea.
Yeah, that's really just the tea, is making stuff sound good. Recording a song, doing his thing, and making it sound not bad.
and then we give it to y'all, and then you listen to it, and we go from there.
Well, not that it sounds bad, but you don't know what something sounds like when it's not mixed and mastered. So the key is for you to never know that.
Interesting. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle. What are you free later?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll text you or call you after I get out of this.
Yeah, I don't have anything going on. I'm not very busy, so.
Okay, bet. I'll hit you up.
Alright, bye.
All right, bye.
Alright, so just some final thoughts, because we are almost done with the interview itself. But what motivates you to keep creating hip-hop and to keep connecting with the people in Richmond? What are your final thoughts about just Richmond itself, music itself? What do you think it does for a person?
I think for me, in going back to what feels good and what feels bad, is music is when you are a musician. Though I think as a listener too, to a certain extent, music is very validating. Music is a confirmation of thoughts, ideas, your like deepest, darkest secrets, and like your brightest desires. I think music is a way for which you to feel represented in a way that you wouldn't normally. At the core of it, you have ideas that you connect to viscerally, and I think Richmond provides an opportunity for me to speak to people that have my same ideas.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that everybody else does the same. I'm hoping that like people make what they're making with good intentions. And I think for myself, I want to be the change that I want to see. And the scene, I have a lot of work to do within myself, a lot of shadow work and like a lot of like responsibility. But I want to meet all that head on, and I want to do my part.
Thank you very much. I'm very interested in your future music. And
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
But thank you so much.
Of course,
I appreciate
anytime.
it.